So this is going to be a collective reading. I wanted to pull cards, not just because of the time that we're coming into with the alignment, with this eclipse that's coming up here in March of 2025, but no matter when you see this reading, there will be something in here for you because these readings are timeless. So I'm going to pull cards to get messages about the current energies and anything that will help guide us. The first card that comes up is the Knot of Isis. And it's funny because whenever I see this card, it gives me a snapshot into what's happening, which is the knots, the karmic knots, the karmic energies, the loops that a lot of us have been repeating are starting to unravel. However that may be showing up for you, being able to step into your destiny means that something needs to come untied. Something needs to be released. Part of the spiritual destiny involves a special relationship with this goddess energy. Goddess as in ascended, sacred, evolved feminine energy. This means that not only do you have important spiritual task of helping her thrive in this world, but you are afforded her power, her protection, and abundance too. So I feel a lot of us have been lacking one or all of the above. And the thing about this journey is that when you start to become aware, self-aware, wanting to master yourself, wanting to heal, wanting to be a better version of you, oftentimes you have challenges that come into your life and it seems like it is the complete opposite of what you have been moving towards. That is an illusion. I know it feels really, really real when it's happening, but it's an illusion. And when I say it's an illusion, I mean it's something that was created by everything you used to be. And so what you see coming in, the waves that are coming in, if the ocean spans 5,000 miles, well, those waves that you created, 5,000 miles, it's got to travel before it comes back. And oftentimes what's coming back to us is not a representation of who we are today and the person that we have been working on ourselves to be. What's coming back to us is a reflection of who we used to be. The goal when it comes back to you is to respond differently. So if in the past, a great example, if in the past you would lose a job and you would go into a deep depression about it and give up on trying to find something else, if that was the way you responded in the past, when it comes back to you this time, you're not going to respond that way because you are a different version of you. But if you respond the way you have always responded, then you're communicating to the universe, I'm not ready for what comes after this wave. And oftentimes what comes after the wave is exactly the thing that you have been waiting for. So it's not one wave. There are many waves that we create. We create ripples through the universe. And not just from this life, but from past lives. There are things that we did not complete in past lives. I mean, if we died spontaneously and there was stuff that we was going through and we didn't complete it, we probably re-experienced some of those things in this life just so you can respond, so that you can release, so that you can show up as a different version of yourself. And this is how you know that you are ready for what you were saying you're ready for, because you start to actually do the best that you can to respond differently. You cannot access the power that's inherent within you if you feel powerless. And this is not something that I have found can be done by willpower alone, by affirmations alone, by meditating alone. It's beautiful, it sounds good, but it's not something that I have found to actually work. What works best for me, in my opinion, is when I can actually align an archetypal energy of ascended consciousness, whether it is the form of an angel, a spirit guide, a spirit animal, an ancestor, a god, a goddess, someone who I can study their mythology, someone who I can draw wisdom from and learn from, something that's not of this earth. When you are a spiritual being, you cannot change things in your life by moving the physical around. You're just going to go in circles. You have to get to the root. And in order to get to the root, you usually would require something that's out of this world, something that's from the spirit realm. And so what I have found, the reason I am a Dakini, I am a devotee of the divine consciousness, especially of the feminine, because that's what many of us have been lacking. And I study and I learn the correspondences, the numerological correspondences, the color correspondences. What did they go through? What was their challenge? What mistakes did they make? What lessons did they learn? And this is the reason why in the course, which is a course on alchemy, to teach you how to take any negative situation and find gold in it, find something in it that's going to add power to you, add confidence to you, add value to you, is by connecting you with your divine parents. If we're spiritual beings, it only makes sense that not only do we have earthly parents, but we have divine parents. And this has been a game changer for me. So each and every one of us have a divine parent, some more than others, assigned to us through our soul's journey, where we can draw wisdom from. And so a lot of great teachers, whether it's Buddha or whether it's Jesus or ascended masters, or whether it's any of the angels, or whether it's a Netta or a Netaru or Orisha or Aloha, I have studied so many spiritual systems, and these are the nuggets of wisdom that I have gained from them by being open-minded, open-hearted, non-judgmental, non-biased, and willing to go into it as a student of life. So this is what this is about right now. And if you are trying to really change your life, and let's just say you're trying to accomplish it with masculine energy only, which is productivity, which is pushing hard, willpower, which is by any means necessary, it's exhausting. It's not sustainable. And a lot of my audience is usually women find me who are going through this journey. And so an evolved woman would be synonymous with a goddess, a queen, an empress. She is someone who is accessing higher versions of herself. You can't skip that part, because that's the part in which the spiritual pregnancy occurs to give rebirth. For men, if they are not nurturing the divine feminine aspects into their life, even they are going to be worn out by only operating in masculine energy to accomplish things. On this new world, that we are in now, where the paradigm is shifting, the rules to the game are also changing. What hustling every day used to accomplish will not yield the same results because the spiritual economy has changed. The currency is changed and it's shifting back to being a feminine based currency. All right, so we're gonna go to the next card. And the next card, I love working with the Isis deck because it's so simple yet profound. So it's not overwhelming. The information is healing. And if you needed that, hopefully you're getting this now. But we're being guided to stand in our truth, to stay true to ourselves and be in our power. I mean, this is just the second card and the conversation is already about truth and power. This can seem like a really simple thing, but when you are born into a world that has gaslit you, poisoned you, polluted your environment, destroyed the basic family structure, masqueraded things that were toxic and harmful to us as being what we actually needed. When you have been through that, it's no surprise that a lot of spiritual chosen ones have areas of their lives where they feel they are powerless. It's no surprise that there are certain times in our lives where we wonder, do I really have what it takes to get through this? It's no surprise. And there's a lot of shame that has been wrapped around this inability to access your power, so we hide it. The ego doesn't want anybody to know that it's powerless. But when you hide behind a false self mask, you demean yourself and you're betraying your own heart. And what happens is oftentimes the simulated reality around us that's created by the frequency that we are in the most and what we pay attention to, it's going to reflect that powerlessness back to us. Again, remember the ripples. So the waves that's coming in are the waves that you created when you were in that version of yourself. But if you're listening to me now, you're being guided to step onto a new timeline. You're being guided to know that no matter what life brings, you will be able to handle it, no matter what it is. How many times have you went through things and you did not know whether or not you were going to be able to get through it, but you did? Can anybody here count how many times that has happened? Because I can pretty much guarantee you, everybody that's watching this video probably can't even count how many times they didn't think that they would make it, but they did. Every great story, every great journey has a heroine, has a hero, but they're not created through easy times. They're created in times of trials, times of test, times of challenges. The best version of you don't show up when everything is exactly how you want it to be. The best version of you shows up when you're willing and ready to be that version of you, despite whatever chaos comes a knocking. That's true power. True power isn't having everything the way that you want it, and then I will be that version of myself. No, you're being called to be that version of yourself now, to not wait. The card says you are a sovereign divine being with spiritual authority and freedom within. Listen, within. The freedom may not be outside of you right now. The 3D matrix is holding on. The 3D matrix does not want to lose those who have been batteries and the life force energy that have kept these structures going that are now collapsing. So it's going to do everything it can to keep you from feeling free. Freedom is created within. first. You do not need permission from anyone to be who you are and live your life as you so choose. So many of us, especially those of us that came through religious programming, there was this deep feeling that who I am is shameful, is bad. And that means that I'm not worthy, I'm not valuable of the things that I desire. And no matter how long you experience this programming, it goes so deep because it's an epigenetic programming on this planet. And so you may feel like you don't have permission to be your authentic self. You may feel like you're not supported in doing that. And you might be right. But at some point, you have to say, you know what? Today is the best day for me to start being more authentic. And a simple way that you can begin doing that is to be authentic with yourself consistently every day. Create routines. Routines are rituals. When you have a spiritual intention attached to your day-to-day routines, they become ceremonial. This is the true magic. This is where the true transformation happens. And you say, you know what? I'm not going to wait on anybody to make me feel the way that I'm capable of feeling within myself. Don't wait on people in your life to accept you or to give you permission to be you. You, standing in the mirror, looking at yourself, say, I give myself permission to be my authentic self, whatever that is. And if in this moment I feel grief, I give myself permission to grieve in this moment, and I'm not going to judge myself for it. This is authentically how I feel right now, and it is safe for me to feel this. Just use that one tip and do it every day. If you're going to commit to this, comment below and let me know. I'm going to commit to this, and I'm going to do this every single day. For those of us who are emotional generators within the human design, because I'm an emotional generator, so much of my reality stems from my emotions. And if I'm not in touch with my emotions in a non-judgmental way, I'm not going to be able to be authentic. I'm not going to be able to really be real with myself. And so I'm going to keep creating ripples that don't represent who I really am. I'm going to continue building relationships and ideas, businesses, careers, like friendships, whatever I'm doing is not going to be a reflection of my authentic self. It's going to be a reflection of the person I think people want me to be. And I will not feel fulfilled in life. It will often feel like something is missing. So stay true to yourself. Stand in your power. Start with you. Okay? Because this eclipse that's coming, this lunar eclipse that's coming March 14th, it's a cord-cutting eclipse. This is fated. So anything that you have been holding on to that is not serving you, it's going to fall apart. And you're going to need to be able to be emotionally regulated as it is falling apart, as it is crumbling. It could be your dreams. It could be a career, a job, a relationship, a friendship. It could be, I think a lot of it is going to be relatives, where things are shifting and changing. Because there's so much trauma that we went through as children, and we just moved forward and pushed through it and ignored it because that's what everybody else did. Nobody talked about it. Nobody dealt with it. Nobody really owned up to the part that they played in it. But you can't continue to go that way. And so this eclipse is going to I see it like, I see it like a splinter. And this splinter, whatever it is, maybe it's glass, but in order to get it out, you need to cut more, even though you're already cut. But in order to get it out, there has to be a cutting. And so this cord cutting is going to be like that for a lot of us. It's in Virgo, and Virgo energy represents the body. So there will be physical manifestations in the body as well. So, you know, some of the tips that I would give would be to eat light. Don't eat heavy right before and right after the eclipse. If you are someone who fasts, this would be a really great time to fast, because this is a time for us to go within. The moon represents the mind. The moon also represents feminine energy. And so you want to go within yourself, and you want to keep things light. Don't overwhelm your digestive system, you know, because that takes a lot of energy to break down foods, especially what we have been given to eat, which is by design. And this is something that I go deep into on my Patreon, breaking this down. But these are some tips that you can use so that you can get the full benefit from this eclipse. But yeah, you're not going to be able to hold on to anything anymore that's not for you. And it may be uncomfortable, but imagine what life can be like when you no longer have that piece of glass that's just been stuck in you, hurting. And sometimes you're so afraid of the pain that you won't do what you need to do to get it out. And this is when that mother energy comes and says, look, baby, we got to cut this out. And it's going to feel better once it's out. But it might be uncomfortable in the beginning. Okay, I'm going to quit rambling. The next card that I pulled is the Scales of Balance. Now, though Isis is on this card, the Scales of Balance is represented by the goddess Mayat in ancient Kemet. And this is everything that I've been saying. What's out of balance in your life? You know. We know when things are out of balance, but sometimes what it takes to bring it into balance is a counterbalance. And sometimes we just don't want to have to go through it. We don't want to have to do it. It says, balancing give and take, directing and flowing, play and solitude are ways to heal the relationship between the inner masculine and feminine energies. Connection with the body, which I mentioned, is the most powerful form of healing for the feminine energy, as it holds the secrets to divine feminine wisdom. So dance, sing, and play. When was the last time you said to yourself, I'm going to let go of the seriousness. I'm going to let go of the rational, logical, masculine mind, because a lot of us, that's what we operate in the most. It's by design. This is how we have been conditioned. When was the last time you said, I'm going to sit all to the side and just move into my feminine energy? Just move into my right hemisphere. Just be creative. Just let myself be free. Just free flow. You know, when was the last time you did that? The last time that I did it, it was because I felt so heavy. It felt like I energetically was going to collapse if I didn't do something different, and I didn't know what to do. And that was around the time when I decided to get an instrument and start playing an instrument. And I could not believe what happened, because I was looking for somebody to give me lessons. Couldn't find anybody to give me lessons. So I said to myself, you know what? I'll just teach myself. I'll just teach myself. And I'll teach myself by not being serious. I'm just going to play. I'm just going to have fun and play. And now I have videos with handpan meditations you know, on various different types of percussion instruments. And it's amazing how how frequencies can transmit a message that can't be encompassed with words. And I actually found a part of me that I lost, a part of me that got me through some really tough times as a kid. I have always been drawn to music. So try that out. The next time you feel overwhelmed, try that out. If you don't think you can dance well, just get in the mirror and start dancing. And the goofier, the sillier, however bad it look, if I wasn't doing a reading, I would do it right now for y'all just so you can see what I mean. But it's like it instantly snaps you out of whatever frequency you've been stuck in. And it don't matter how long you've been stuck in it. You can be in the dark night of a soul and use this, and it's going to pull you out of it. And a lot of us don't use this as a part of our spiritual routine, our spiritual hygiene. And this is the reason I created the Turn Pain into Purpose course, so that you can have something you're doing every day. Because a lot of times we're here to end generational patterns, to be cycle breakers, but we go days, weeks, maybe even months without being intentional about what we're doing with our energy and consciousness. And then we wonder why things are the way they are. Like, what are you doing every day? Are you showing up every day in a way that is reflective of the things that you desire? Or are you just going through life, taking things as it comes, not setting any intentions, not having any goals, not having any rules of engagement for yourself, no boundaries? Boundaries are for you, it's not for other people. And so if you're tired of being depressed, then okay, yes, it could be neurotransmitters, it could be hormonal related. There's so many things that affect that, and this is something I dealt with. That's why I feel like I'm certified to talk about it. But sometimes when I'm depressed, it's either because I'm suppressing something that I'm feeling that I have not allowed to come out, or I'm doing the same thing all the time. I need novelty. I thrive with novelty. Mundane, monotonous, daily routine stuff, it drains me. It literally will make me physically sick. So I have to say to myself, it's time for me to do something different. And sometimes doing something different look like me stripping down and dancing and laughing at myself. Especially when my knees and my elbows and shoulders get to popping and cracking. It ain't always been that way. And you know, so it's just like, okay, I am officially 45. I hear the pops and the clicks. Thank you for that. All right. Y'all know I can ramble, I can ramble, I can ramble. Now I'm going to go to my Kali Oracle deck. This is like one of my most favorite ways to call forth guidance, spiritual wisdom. I was afraid of Kali, Sekhmet, Oya, even Isis. Every goddess has a dark counterpart to her. And dark not as in bad, but as in empowered. As in, I don't need to acquiesce. I don't need to be domesticated and tamed. That the wild, free, liberated version of me is sacred also. You know, if somebody was to break in your house, God forbid, but if somebody was to break in your house, the light feminine version of yourself is not going to be what's going to be useful in that moment. If somebody was to do something to your child, I mean, right in front of you, push your child down at the park, a whole grown person, it's not the light version of you that's going to deal with that. And we live in a society that has demonized so much, okay, these versions of us, that there's this deep subconscious fear. And you know, and I'm gonna tell you, let me give y'all a little bit of what's been on my mind that I've been wanting to communicate. I've communicated this many years ago, but I've been wanting to share this again. But a lot of this dark feminine energy is awakening in women, and a lot of men who may have been conditioned in certain ways to not feel safe, or maybe their nervous system isn't regulated within themselves yet, so that doesn't feel safe to them. And so when this energy starts to activate inside of women, men sometimes get uncomfortable with women, and they start to feel like abandoned, rejected. Maybe even they start to feel threatened by this energy. So you know how you hear women say, yeah, men seem to be intimidated by me because of how much money I make. Remember, like back in the day when we first started coming into higher consciousness and paying attention to human dynamics, that was a thing. But now it's like, no, what's happening inside of you spiritually is actually what creates that dynamic where you feel like a threat. And, you know, it's not personal. This is the 3D matrix conditioning. These are the social constructs. This is a result of the patriarchy. All right. Really? Okay. So the card that I pulled for us is Anahata Kali. Anahata Kali. And this represents divine masculine energy, and it's also representative of the heart chakra, if you notice all of the green here. And I've been doing some deep heart chakra healing on myself, and so it is no surprise that this card has come up, because though we talk about the feminine in the circles of spiritual healing, the masculine, the sacred masculine is so important for the entire system. And this is the reason that men have been emasculated and socially engineered, conditioned to not know how to operate with emotional intelligence, to be emotionally grounded, to be able to be emotionally aware, in power of themselves, in control. It says beautiful, powerful mother of, and let me say this, the heart chakra is a feminine energy. And so we always need the opposite to bring balance. So, beautiful, powerful mother of the sacred universal heart who lives within our hearts as the wisdom and healing power of love. Your heart knows how to heal and how to open, how to break and repair itself to become stronger and wiser than before. Your heart cannot be contained or constrained by what has taken place. Your heart wisdom and empowerment are growing. Soon you shall have the wisdom and courage to accomplish something very important for your soul's journey. Trust in the invisible workings of divine love. Let your heart be at peace. The journey of the soul is the journey from the head to the heart. Anahata is a Sanskrit name for the heart chakra. Anahata Kali is the goddess who secures the awakening, transformation, and liberation of the heart. Love is her expression. When Kali Ma touches the heart, it becomes capable of love that is increasingly unconditional, fearless, and compassionate. Such empowerments often manifest through loss and betrayal. Did you hear that? The empowerment, I just said this earlier, it manifests through loss and betrayal. In responding to such challenges, we grow our heart's capacity for love, processing and healing emotions of grief, betrayal, and anger. Our heart becomes stronger through the process. The human heart is capable of overcoming enormous negativity, and it is astonishingly powerful and beautiful, a temple that holds the spirit. We can underestimate the extraordinary power of the heart by focusing on its sweetness, love, and light as though they were weaker than anger, fear, or the consuming intensity of grief. We can only begin to understand the spiritual worlds and how they operate when we let go of human perspective. Human believes that the heavier and denser something is, the more powerful it is. So many of us have situations in our life that are still existing because we believe the situations are more powerful than us because they feel heavier. That does not mean it's more powerful. That is a human construct. A heavy emotion like anger or physical situations that appear gridlocked are given more weight than the intangible realms of spirit. Yet spirit is behind all things. In all things, being invisible does not impede its effectiveness. If anything, it enhances it. For something so seemingly invisible, love has unconquerable power. We affirm this in expressions such as love can move mountains or love will always find a way. Yet we are conditioned to believe that there is more powerful things that exist in what we can see and control rather than the spiritual power of love. Such conditioning pulls us away from heart connection and into the fear-based belief system that we need to control things or there will be no benefit, no safety, no happiness. However, we can never be safe if we are disconnected from the spiritual home of the heart where all healing, wisdom, true guidance, spiritual protection, and regenerating vitality resides. The backlog of emotional pain stored in our hearts can sometimes cause us to shut down. Even when we know that it is closing down our hearts, we lose out on love's joy and wisdom. We may go through the motions of living, but without the real emotional juice and revitalizing engagement with life. Kali Anahata brings a message from the Divine Mother that she is supporting you and healing your heart. She wants you to connect to more profound joy in life. As you trust yourself and trust in her, you can heal even long-term karmic scars. You can learn to return to love, to be in love, to live the love within you. For those who live from the heart space, it can be hard to remember what it was like before. Yet many still live in such a way, driven by fear and plagued by anxiety, hardened through living in a way that is oppressive to the spirit. The oracle asks you to acknowledge how far you have come and where you would like to go. Not so much in terms of external markers, but in terms of your emotional freedom. If you have been focusing on healing a specific issue in your life, the oracle indicates you have the strength, wisdom, and courage of heart to accomplish that. For those who have had their heart broken in love in spiritual communities, by friends or family members, by God or life itself, the message here is that something deeper is taking place. The shattering of structures, even of ideals, gives the heart the opportunity to break free and open up to the greater and more satisfying experience and expression of love, becoming non-defensive, softening, and opening to spirit with unconditional trust places you in a position of astonishing protection, empowerment, and grace. That's the power of an open heart, where you don't need to be defensive. You don't have to be guarded all the time. You don't have to be hard all the time. You don't have to be scanning for potential threats. And at any moment where it seems like there is a threat to your safety, that you go into this fight or flight reactivity. When we do that, we create ripples in the ocean of consciousness that will come back to us eventually. We have been conditioned to believe that being soft means that you are weak. But sometimes softness, sometimes meekness, sometimes quietness, sometimes being able to trust spirit means that you don't have to be defensive. Don't allow triggers to disempower you. Triggers are there to be target practice for your heart to show how powerful it is. Keep your heart open to the Divine Mother. Through that openness, the right thing shall emerge at the right time. The walls we build around our hearts need to be broken down so we can fulfill our sacred purpose and path. Trust that the pains of your past do not have a place in your future. Say it with me. The pains in my past do not have a place in my future. No matter what happens, no matter what appears to be, she knows the way through. Temper your fierce emotions without denying them. Keep bringing yourself back to your center. Continue to find the moderate and peaceful resting place within, even as you make radical progress on your path. The oracle predicts the successful completion of a time of spiritual initiation. Grace yourself with the gift of relief and trust that all is well. All is well. All is well. Think about every time that you thought all wasn't well. Everything that you went through that you didn't think that you would be able to go through, and you did. That's your proof. Only use your past as proof of your resilience, not proof of your powerlessness. Oh, I hope y'all really, really get this. And I'm speaking this to myself, because the ripples that the powerless, codependent version of me created, the people pleaser, the one who had to be hyper responsible, the hyper vigilante, the one who's hypersensitive, those ripples are coming back now. But those ripples aren't proof of the lack of work that I've done on myself. Those ripples are proof that I'm ready to be tested. So here's a prayer or invocation that you can use to activate your anahata. All right. You can raise your hands over your head and just sense, imagine, intend to make a connection with yourself. Allow yourself to feel held, loved, protected, seen, and cherished. It's a softening, it's an allowing. Allow yourself to feel a heart connection with Kali. Your heart and hers are gently spinning in loving and playful dance with each other. Whatever you need to say to her, be it a prayer, concern, a feeling of gratitude, do it now. Speak to her from your heart. Place your hands in prayer your heart and repeat her mantra several times, feeling your heart connection with her deepening as you do so. And that simple mantra that you can use is Ja Ma Kali. Now, how is this different from religious practices that a lot of us garnered throughout monotheistic religion? When you study these different spiritual systems, there are always going to be things that are similar, because a lot of the monotheistic religions took from ancient indigenous spiritual practices to create their religions. So that's one difference. But how is this not giving power away? Because this was the issue for me. I didn't want to feel like I was worshiping, giving all of my energy away to something else, hoping something is going to save me and fix me, because that disempowered me, and it caused me to operate and learn helplessness where I didn't know how to show up for myself. I didn't know how to change my life. I thought that I always needed something outside of me to validate me, to strengthen me, to protect me, to guide me. I didn't know that any of this existed inside of me, but what I just shared with you is a reflection of what exists inside of you. Kali Ma is the divine mother of protection. She also rules over time and space. That's inside of us. We are the microcosm of the macrocosm. So this isn't teaching you to worship something outside of yourself, above yourself, as if you're not good enough, you're not worthy, you're not capable. This is you using an archetypal wisdom. This is the way that I use this. It's an archetypal wisdom to help you tap into consciousness that is beyond time and space, that is beyond the human perspective that has been polluted by many of the beliefs that are being uprooted right now. So that's the difference for anybody who is wondering, for anybody who is new to this type of teaching. That's a really beautiful card. I want to pull one more card before I'm done, because I haven't been doing a lot of collective readings. I've been doing more personal readings than anything, and been spending a lot of time working on myself and assisting those who are in the course as well, and being available for them. But when I do readings, because I had an intention recently for a personal reading that I did, and I was going to share it, and I was going to ask them if it was okay to share it. And some really deeply personal things came out, where it was something that probably had never came out before in many generations of their bloodline. And it was no way I was going to even ask to share that. The deep transformational healing that happens when people book readings with me, it amazes me, because most readers are putting videos out every single day now. Like when I first started, it wasn't like that. It's so saturated now, and I'm not trying to compete. That's ego. This is not about competition. And so at one point in time, I wanted to try to keep up, and I felt like as a content creator, I need to be creating every day and putting information out every day and doing readings every day. But when was I having the time to work on myself? When was I having time to make sure that I'm changing cycles between me and my children and my grandson? You know, I wasn't. When did I have the time to really sit with my relationship dynamics and figure out what it is that's needed for those relationship dynamics to heal? I didn't have time. And when I committed myself to this, I knew the 3D Matrix was going to do something that was going to cause me to feel like what I was doing was not the thing to do, which is usually a sign that what you're doing is the thing to do. But that happened. And I ended up in the hospital and burnt out. And I'm still dealing with some things now. I had to cancel the Sacred Sister Serenity Retreat. I mean, I was heartbroken. And I had no control over what was happening. And I feel like this time that we're coming into, maybe you're going to have some things in your life that you're not going to have control over. And when you are called to surrender, having a divine mother to be with you, to call on, to communicate with, to visualize with, to meditate with, you're calling in the frequency to penetrate into your field, because so many of us who operate with psychic gifts and abilities, spiritual abilities to do things, we're like lights and moths, which is all these external energies and entities and other people's intentions and even our own thought forms attached to us, attack us. And so they're constantly doing things that throw us out of alignment with our authentic self. You know, and so we have to make sure that we have boundaries within ourselves, that we're cleansing ourselves, we're releasing the things that we need to release. We're surrendering in areas where we can no longer control what's happening. Sometimes you just gotta let go of the wheel and just trust that where you end up is where you need to be. Guidance for the collective. How interesting is this? Because I just pulled this card last night, and this is the Page of Swords. And so I feel like this is letting us know, if you work on these things, because the Page of Swords can often represent our ability to be outspoken, our ability to be ambitious, our ability to operate in a way that's almost instinctual, with a level of cleverness that supersedes what we think we know. And I feel like a lot of us are geniuses. And yeah, it might show up in ways that's not always the best way, but think about it. If you're a genius and your mind is ruminating on something that occurred between you and someone else, you will come up with genius reasons, imaginative reasons that it happened. On the flip side of this, the shadow side of the Page of Swords could be us being codependent, being people pleasers, putting more value in what people think of us than the value we put in what we think and know about ourselves. It could be feeling trapped because the fear that's inside of you, the lack of freedom that you feel inside of you, has manifested itself outside of you so that you can see it's an eternal problem. It could be defensiveness, which we've talked about, overguarding the heart, where you're not allowing anything to come in. Imagine if Mama Earth was super guarded and the magnetic sphere never allowed sunlight to come in. Everything would die. This could be the ways that we become careless. And sometimes we may not be harming ourselves, like self-harm, like physically, but sometimes it's just the things that we allow can be harmful to us. This also represents poor communication, and I feel like it's more so poor communication between the mind, the body, and the soul, the heart and the mind. Is the communication healthy between the mind and the heart? And we talk so much about communication within the circles of personal development, self-mastery, spiritual awakening. We talk about communication between man and woman a lot. What about the communication between you and you? What about the language of the mind, the ego, versus the language of the heart, your true authentic self? These things, you have to work on the inner dialogue so that the communication from the heart can thrive and be heard. I just posted a video yesterday about how to stop allowing criticism and judgments block out the soul's voice. We can't thrive without that. That is the sunlight that helps us to grow. So, keep these things in mind. And no matter what you're going through, I feel like this one reading right here, even if you play it back and listen to it again and take notes, so much of what's in your life now is going to be cleared up for you, because this is not only a karmic clearing that we're coming into, but this is an ancestral healing that we're coming into. This is a bloodline lineage purging that we're coming into. And if this energy feels intense for you, if it's overwhelming, if things are showing up in your life and you're like, I have no idea what I'm going to do about this, I literally don't have the fuel to deal with this, consider surrendering it over to the divine. Maybe it's not meant for you to fix. Maybe it's meant for you to allow space for divine intervention to happen. And the only thing that you can do is get out of your own way. Make sure that your beliefs are in alignment with assistance from the spirit realm. And every single day to attune yourself to that frequency, no matter what you see happening. Ain't no way that nothing will change If you start doing this now and spend a few minutes every day cleaning up your thinking so that your heart can speak. And the higher I divine self lives in the heart space. This is like a mansion. And the back door of that mansion leads to a whole other world. I have some meditations that I have done that I feel would be really supportive right now. I have a specific shamanic meditation in the course that is so powerful. It's so good. But I'm gonna put in the description for those of you who just want something quick and maybe you're not ready to get the course. I'm gonna put a link to the meditation in the description. And I will also put the link. My calendar is open. I will be accepting some bookings for readings. So if that's something that resonates with you, don't even stress over what type of reading to pick. Just pick what resonates. And once I communicate with you, I will help you clarify and we can see what is going to probably be exactly what it is that you are in need of at that time. All right, y'all. Peace. You know, back in the day, say, man, your third eye just been kissed. Man, your heart just been kissed. All right.